Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's Jordan here from the Rosie Project, and today I want to have a wee chat to you about porn. Just a quick warning before we get started. Obviously in talking about porn, we're gonna have to talk about sex. And in talking about sex, we'll be, mentioning things like the names of like genitals and particular sex acts, and sometimes how that can cross over into forms of sexual violence. So if this is not the chat for you today, please click away. But if you're interested to learn something about porn, then stay tuned. So now you might be wondering, why is the Rosie Project talking to us about porn? Well, obviously, to try and stop sexual violence from happening, we need to talk about sex, and we need to talk about society's view of sex and all the things that influence it. And obviously, one of the biggest influences is porn. Now, for those of you who don't know what porn is or haven't been exposed, then the definition of porn is the representation in books, magazines, photographs, films, and other media that shows scenes of sexual behavior that are both erotic or lewd and are designed to arouse sexual interest. So basically, it's photos or videos or whatever of people engaging in sex acts, and the whole point is designed to make people sexually aroused. Now, like other films, adult films or pornography is fiction or fantasy. Yes, the actors might be having real sex, but the storylines are staged, the bodies are enhanced, the pleasure is exaggerated, and sometimes even faked. Unfortunately though, because porn involves people actually having sex, lots of people watch porn thinking that that is what sex is meant to be like, or it's what it will be like. The same way that we don't watch Harry Potter and believe that there are secret 10-year-olds flying around on broomsticks is the same way that we shouldn't watch pornography and think that it's okay or normal for adults to have sex without discussing their boundaries, what they're into, and making sure they're getting consent. So, to kind of get us in the mood to thinking about porn and porn literacy and work out how we can be good at this, we're going to play a game called Planet Porn or Planet Earth. This is an amazing resource from Bish. Basically how it's going to go is I'm going to pick up a scenario card and read it out to you, and then we're going to decide if it belongs in Planet Earth or on Planet Porn. Scenario number 1, where everyone's sexual limits are agreed in advance. Where everyone's sexual limits are agreed in advance. Of course, it's Planet Earth. Discussing each other's boundaries and coming to a happy, comfortable agreement, that's called consent. And consent is the most important thing when it comes to having good sex. If you don't have consent, then it is rape or sexual violence. So you can only have consent if 2 or more people are freely agreeing to the sexy time that's about to happen and all the acts that includes. And we need to make sure that people feel comfortable to say no. So it's not okay to pressure people into doing things that you want to do, and it's certainly not okay to presume somebody's sexual limits. But we never see these conversations in porn. We don't see people checking that their partner's happy to change positions or include other people. In porn, they just do it. If somebody did that in real life, that would be counted as sexual violence. So discussing what you and your partner like is not only good for and important for respecting one another, but it is fundamentally important for not breaking the law, and it's good to get people in the mood. Also, this is an important time to mention that you can only consent to sexual activity if you are over the age of 16 in Scotland. And you can only get somebody's consent if the other person is over 16 as well. Where sex is mainly about what men want. Where sex is mainly about what men want. What do you think? Planet Earth or Planet Porn? Planet Porn. Obviously. It takes 2 to tango. Most mainstream porn focuses on men's pleasure, specifically focusing on the penis or penis penetration as kind of the main event. You'll find that most of the cameras are set up to focus on the penis and what it's doing, sometimes to the point where we're not even seeing actors' heads. But sex is something that should be done with somebody, not something that's done to someone. Mainstream porn doesn't often focus on women's pleasure at all, which can give us a super unhealthy view about how sex is supposed to look and stop us from connecting not only with our partners, but connecting with our own bodies. It is important to recognize that lots of mainstream porn is super misogynistic and often really degrading to women. The women in porn might seem like they enjoy being degraded, but hello, porn literacy says these women are actors. Of course they're pretending or acting as if they like being degraded or dehumanized. But it is not okay to treat women like that in sex, and this is why porn literacy is so important. Where people talk about their feelings. Planet Earth or Planet Porn? It's Planet Earth. Porn rarely shows any chat, and the only sounds that people make in porn are very unrealistic screams. However, in real life, people often talk before, during, and after sex. Partners will often share what they like, what they didn't like, what they want to do next, how they're feeling, checking everyone's comfortable, sharing compliments or sexual fantasies. Sometimes sex can be super awkward and pretty cringe, and particularly if you're still figuring it out. But being honest and open about how you feel and what makes you comfortable and what gives you pleasure really reduces that awkwardness and really increases that connection with your partner. Planet Earth or Planet Porn, where most women don't usually orgasm from entry sex or like penetrative sex, so like a penis or fingers and stuff being penetrated into the vagina. It's Planet Earth. Actually, as we said before, mainstream porn mostly focuses on the penis or male pleasure. Even a lot of the lesbian porn focuses a lot on penetration. However, the majority of adult women report being unable to have an orgasm from penetrative sex without some other stimulation on the side. What that means is penetrative sex can feel super good for women, but often it's not the thing that makes them come. Often there'll need to be things like foreplay or touching or other types of stimulation to make sure that they are getting the same amount of pleasure as their male counterparts. But in porn, we see women screaming after a minute of penetration, which scientifically is completely unrealistic and fictional. So for both young men and women watching this, we need to understand how unrealistic porn is and how this is not what sex is going to look like. Because otherwise, we could feel really insecure that our partners are not doing or not expressing the pleasure the way that they are in porn. Or we might start thinking that we need to fake it or pretend that we're having a good time because that's what we think we need to look like. If you're viewing porn, it's just really important to understand that a lot of it's acting, it's fantasy, and we need to work out and have really healthy chats to be able to have happy, healthy sex in reality. So, just a key reminder or take-home message that real, genuine adult sex in the real world involves practicing really good consent, talking to your partners about what they like and what you like, checking in and making sure people feel comfortable, connecting with your partners and your body, and practicing safe sex. Pretty simple. All right, well, I hope you found this educational. Bye.
For more information and support for young people who have experienced sexual violence, you can contact the Rosie Project by calling the Glasgow and Clyde Rape Crisis Helpline on 08 088 000014 or by visiting the Rosie Project's website at www.rosieproject.co.uk. Alternatively, you can call Rape Crisis Scotland on 08 088 010302 any day from 6 p.m. until midnight.